Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, so let me just go straight right into the topic because we do have a limited time. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Regardless of the time difference, I see that everybody is, everywhere. Alhamdulillah. We are able, Allah has granted us the opportunity for us to be in this platform to share knowledge. Okay, inshallah, you will also be. I will also learn from you. I always learn from whoever I talk to. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so the topic today is on school psychology, cognitive, social, and emotional developmental issues in school. Okay, so this is only a small part, obviously, okay, of what school psychology is and also what educational psychology is. So bear with me while we try to, summarize within 45 minutes what usually I would be doing this in one semester. But inshallah, given the objective of this program, we'll share some fundamental things to be shared, inshallah, okay? So, but before we go into these issues, let's go back into the reason why we send our students, our children to school, okay? Alright? Okay, so basically, why do we need to study? What is the purpose of education? Obviously, I am talking to the converted, but this is because you are here, so you know why. Everybody is very familiar with the verses of Al-Alaq, which is also the foundation of International Islamic University in Asia. So, but let me just pull in a little into why. Okay, the why that I would like us to reflect upon, perhaps something slightly different from what these are actually common things common verses, this is a common hadith that we are very familiar with, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. But here I want us to see why is the focus to reflect on the nature of the Quran as the source of knowledge. Okay, so basically, going from that, okay, regardless of the subject that we are teaching or the subject that our children are studying in school, okay, everything is probably formulated, even if it comes from the non-Muslim, we know that all knowledge comes from Allah, okay, and the major source of revelation, of course, the Quran. So, we learn, not some are learning directly, some indirectly. The things that we are doing here today, we indirectly. Okay? But inshallah, the things that we in IIUM and IIIT would be thinking this we need to integrate. That's why you're here also, right? We want to be able to integrate, to work into the things that we do every day, the knowledge that we have every day, even if the source is quote unquote not Quranic. Actually, when we reflect upon this, we will know that this is actually part of the knowledge that Allah has given to us. Okay, Al-Baqarah ayat 31, right? And then this is another ayat I would really like to share with you. Focusing, this is Az-Zumar ayat 9. Focusing on the one, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Are those who know equal to those who know not? Again, emphasizing the need, the impetus for us as Muslims to send our children to school, to actually give them the best of education. Okay, so, but we know that when we send our children to school, and the purpose of education in Islam is not just about to gain knowledge per se, it's not just about the cognitive part, okay, but It is about, okay, it is it is about the whole person. Okay? We don't want, not we can't, we can, but we don't want our students, our children to go to school with so-called knowledge, be so full of knowledge here, but have no akhlaq, right? Yeah, so, but this is all actually part of it, why we're sending. So we need to also look at the whole entire school ecosystem here. Understand that when we send children to school, so this is why we have also just school psychology, not just the academic part, but how can we get our children to gain knowledge best, but also understanding that the school itself has its own ecosystem and there are other issues beyond cognitive. Okay, okay, so okay. But you have actually throughout this course and the other previous weeks, we have you have actually looked, okay, even if not in the context of school, but you haven't looked at this other aspect of development. Okay. But I do want to just share a little bit of this. So I'm not going to, my assumption is you know what social is, what cognitive is, what emotional is. Okay. But just putting it in the form of school, in the context of school. Okay. And obviously, this is not exhaustive. There are so many other issues going on in school. That's why school psychologists, counselors in school, and also teachers as murabbi, they would like to see, whether they are muallim, okay, or murabbi, mudaris, yeah. Of course, right, we do have a muaddi. We do want this, the social part is there, is beyond the classroom. Okay. That's why, if those of you who are teachers or who live with teachers, okay, or who are very close with teachers, you know that work is never finished, right? It's not just work is not just what happens in school, but once a teacher, you're a teacher. Okay. All right. So these are just some. Okay, I'm just highlighting this. I'm going to spend just very, very short time in this because I don't want to spend on the cognitive part, but just to very, very briefly share with you, in school we have to understand these are the peer relationships that are the social milieu and the social skills that our children are required to have now. Even as when it's school is really important. Okay? When in school, because I think this, children spend a big part of the day in school. Okay, and then once they go to school, that's why if your parents of you can remember when you first send your first child to school, you have this, my child is already a big boy or a big girl. Why? Because you know that now the social sphere is enlarged and you basically have little, as parents, we have little or no little control on this thing. Okay? But we still need to understand because what happens in school will affect what happens at home, will affect how they will also develop. Okay? Or if you're a teacher here, you know that what happens outside of the classroom will also affect what happens in the classroom. Okay? So, peer relationship, having friends, okay? Having friends is very important for young children. Okay? For young children, for adolescents, one of the things, one of the trauma, actually, if you talk to adults, okay, some adults, one of the trauma when they talk about school is being isolated by the peers. Going to school and not feeling that you matter because your peers do not treat you like you are there. Okay, so this may affect also how they, um, whether they want to go to school. In psychology, people talk about motivation, going to school, and wanting to learn. So this may actually also affect what happens in the learning process. Okay, um, this the habluminaness here. This is where it's going on. So we also need to understand that teachers need to also look at the social skills of these children. Okay, and in some instances, it can be more challenging than others, especially when there are cultural and socioeconomic issues. When there's diversity there, okay? It's a challenge. It doesn't mean it's insurmountable. As a challenge, because we need to understand that everybody is different. There are individual differences. Okay? And when they come from, when these differences come from cultural or socioeconomic factors, these can even be more challenging. Have you tried talking to the students in school now? If you listen to them talking to one another, we may feel that are they speaking in English, or are they speaking in a different language? It's like they speak English, but you can understand what they're saying. Spill, but spill is not actually spilling any water. So here, if there's empty space there, there's a gossip. Okay, tell us what's going on. Tell us what's going on. You doesn't have to be the gossip. Just tell us what's going on. Share it with us. So these are also things that we need to just be able to also know what's going on, so that we do not lose touch with them, but also to understand that some of our children, when they spend too much time alone, they will not be able to give the social skills that they need to give. Okay, and I will just push you to what I think it was Dr. Ruhaya talk about the social psychology aspect, and Dr. Marjana also talked about counseling. These are actually all related to the mental health issues. Dr. Emilia has talked about this. Okay, so I'm going to just leave it here for now. Okay, I'm going to push in a little bit more after this with the social skills deficit later. Okay, but the next issue is the emotional development issue. For emotional development. Okay. Again, this is not exhaustive. This is just highlighting some of the major ones, but not the only ones that we should be concerned about. Okay. Obviously, you have had a session, 1 or 2 sessions on mental health, so we're not going to go into that now. But teachers also have to deal with students who have mental health issues in school. Okay. But I do want to just focus a little bit on the emotional regulation, okay, which also is tied to the social skills just now. Okay. This ability, emotional regulation, is this ability to not just actually manifest what you feel, but actually to recognize our emotion, okay, and know how to manage that emotion, how to regulate that emotion. If you are angry, okay, how do you in school express that anger? You're angry at the teacher, okay? Right? For some reason, the student is angry at the teacher. So obviously, is not acceptable to shout, to scream at the teacher. Okay, but we also know that if this is a continuous thing and this is not addressed, it's going to lead to some mental health issues. Okay, or it can also lead to behavioral issues in school. So, not being able to express their anger to those who are in authority or who have authority on them, they will then transfer that anger to those who are weaker from them. Then we have another major issue that people have been talking about, which is bullying in school. Okay. So you see now how then it does relate to each other. Okay. And then the other one is, of course, there's a lot of trauma going on wherever you are, and it doesn't have to be large-scale trauma like our children in Palestine or have been facing, but in our personal life, because we're not going to go on the scale of trauma, relative scale of trauma, but for each one of us, there are things that when it happens, it's really very traumatic. It may not be traumatic to others, but maybe traumatic to that person. Okay. Divorce, for example, parents going through divorce, which is also a very common thing for our children in school nowadays. Okay. Some may not face any trauma because they have the support surrounding that phenomenon, but some may actually face trauma. Okay? And the trauma may actually occur even prior to the parents being divorced. So these are things that if we are working with children in school, regardless of whether we're looking at early childhood, primary, secondary, we need to be able to at least detect that this particular student is going through trauma. You're not supposed, if you don't have a skill, you're not supposed to actually address that trauma. But our job when we work with them is anytime you are working with children, is to actually be able to detect, not necessarily identify what type of trauma, but detect that this child is not developing as he or she do. Okay? And then if we don't have the skills to address that, then that's where we refer to those who have the skills, who have the training. Okay? But we need to be able to, we cannot say that our job just ends when we go in class, we teach. If you're a teacher, okay, we cannot say that that's it. I just say whatever is there. I need to say, okay, I have covered my lesson for today, and then we're done. And then I'm done. We need to be able to detect these variations in our students' emotional development. Okay. Another thing that's actually very much the impact is cognitive, okay, but it has very much also has to do with emotional regulation and with being able to regulate ourselves and being able, as the children grow older, when they were young, we tell them what to do. Okay? We even sometimes tell them, oh, don't cry. Whether you agree with me or not, but there are some parents who say that, but meaning that we are telling them what to do. Okay? But as they grow older, and especially in school, they are not in front of us all the time. So we, in Malaysia, for example, a lot of parents also send their children for secondary school. Secondary school begins when they are 13 to what we call boarding school. Okay, so they live in the school. Okay, they live in the school. and then only come back during school holidays. And so of course you're not there to see them, okay, to see whether they are studying or not. Um, so we need to give our children this skill for to self-regulate themselves, to know when to study, how to study, to push themselves, to give, to reward themselves when they are studying, or to, especially, I'm going to the next time say why this is actually a skill that some children, even us as adults, some of us, find is very hard to nowadays because of the gadget. Okay, we'll go back to that. We'll go to that later. Okay. But self-regulated learning is the child being able, the student being able to understand his or her preferred way of studying. Okay, some of us, if you when we talk about multiple intelligences, some of us do better when we are in an environment, when we're in an outdoor environment. Okay, some of us do better when there are more text to read. Some of us look at text and say, that's so too many words. Okay, too many words per page. I'm not doing this, So there are better with this. Okay, something like this slide. She has a bit more graphic, but it doesn't have that much graphic actually. Okay, but some would actually study better when they okay, it's studying easier. So our child, we have to actually help. If we can't, we should actually help our children when they are young to see what is the preferred way of learning. Okay, it's not the only way of learning; it's the preferred way of learning. So they know that if they're not text oriented, but they are more visual oriented. Okay, then when they have text to do, they need to transfer the text into images. Okay, they create images that they can understand rather than highlighting the text. Okay, highlighting text for those who are more visual oriented, it doesn't really work. They need to transfer what is from the text to image. Okay, a visual oriented person. So those are some of the things that we need to get our children to be able to understand, and also to know that when they are tired, to listen to their body, to know, okay, when they are tired, okay, when to push themselves, when not to push themselves. These are all part of self-regulated learning. Okay, trust me, if your children have mastered this self-regulated learning, if you're the parent, alhamdulillah, okay, you're going to go, alhamdulillah, okay, you don't have a lot of work that you need to do. You don't have to keep telling your child, don't study now, don't study. And if you're also a teacher, you again, alhamdulillah, if they have to take this self-regulated learning, because they can also take charge of their own learning process. Okay? We teachers as adults will help them with the content, okay? But how they will be able to do it themselves. Okay, now I'm going to go to the part where most of that, when we talk about school, we tend to think about cognition, okay, cognitive, because a lot of the things that if they do is it's related to their cognitive ability. Okay, I only have 2 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go very, very quickly also here. Okay. They're not actually they're not exclusive. It's not just one or the other, or it's not exhaustive. Again, let me remind you, these are just things to help frame the issues. Okay, move the discussion forward. Okay. And so when we talk about cognitive, is that all? We need to also realize that there are learning challenges. Okay, as learning challenges, I'm using here the word learning challenges rather than learning disabilities, because learning disabilities like dyslexia are very specific. Okay? And we do need to understand that these are also, this may become barriers, but I do not like to use the word barriers. I would prefer to use the word challenges. But they are challenges with me, because we need to have a different approach to these types of students. Okay? To go back to students with mental health issues, they will also present that they will also face learning challenges. When you are so down, so sad, it's very difficult to study. It's very difficult to read and make sense of what you are reading. Right? It's very difficult to watch the YouTube video on, a very specific topic, and it's because you are so sad. But it's not just being so sad that actually pulls us down. When we are extremely happy also, this present learning challenges. So, if you're sitting home, to keep your children, your students happy, keep them happy, but don't keep them too happy. Yeah? If you keep them too happy, they will enjoy your class. Definitely, they will enjoy your class. But when you talk to them later and you ask them, so what did you study in class? Yesterday, last week. They will go, I don't remember, but I really like it. Okay, so that defeats the purpose of making things enjoyable. Okay, so there are also issues, for example, learning challenges that's related to technology, okay, related to the socio-economy. If they come from the disadvantaged families and they go to school very, very hungry, okay? We're not talking hungry as in Ramadan fasting hungry, okay? We're talking hungry as in involuntarily going without food or going with minimal food because the families cannot afford what they should have. This also means that they will be malnourished, okay? And this actually will be a challenge in the classroom. It's very difficult for them to pay attention in class. It's very difficult for them to retain what is being taught in class because the physical needs are not fulfilled. Okay? But in our contemporary world, most of the time, what we have with our children is cognitive overload. Okay? Not sure how it is in your countries, but this is something that we hear a lot in Malaysia, and that our children go to school and then come back home, and then they have homework to do. Even during school holidays, they have homework to do. They have assignments to complete. So, and then all these things that they have to do for school, so which may lead to cognitive overload. But also our children, in addition to those things in school, of course, then they go online. Basically, I'm talking on the impact of technology here. Okay? They go online and then they read, they listen, they watch, they have all these other things also, which will also lead to cognitive overload. Okay? So instead of being able to process things, everything just comes in, but nothing gets analyzed. Okay? When we don't make sense of what we hear, what we listen, we do not develop. Okay? We do not gain knowledge. Reading in and of itself, just reading the text alone does not mean that we learn anything. Okay? Just listening here alone, if you are here with me today, if you're just listening to this, just only listening, you're not going to learn anything. We need to read, to listen, and make sense of what we are listening. Okay, link it to what we know. Okay, that's actively processing. Okay, and when we are actively processing, we need to use the cognitive capacity. That's why when people say, "Oh, I am multitasking," okay, one of those things that they do will actually be sacrificed. They're not doing one, at least one of the things. It's not going to be done efficiently. Okay, so we do want to prevent this cognitive overload. One of the things that can lead to cognitive overload is when the things that are being taught, the content or um, the assignment, the homework that they are doing, the learning activities that they are doing are not developmentally appropriate. Okay? Meaning that it's either way below the level, okay, but that usually would not lead to cognitive overload. But when it's way above the level, then it will lead to cognitive overload. Okay? Um, and again, going back to, when I was working with parents in kindergarten, okay, doing this, working with them, working with both the teachers and working with the parents, because that they are very, at least we in here, what we call kiasu, very competitive. And one of the things that they want kindergarten children as early as 4 years old, definitely by 5 years old, is to be able to read. Okay. Um, Sometimes it's actually not appropriate. The kind of things that we expect children to be able to do. Okay. Again, to remember that children move at their own pace. Okay. One. But if we are expecting children to do mathematics, even addition to, 10 plus 20 at 4 years old, that's not developmentally appropriate. And even if they can recite the numbers, it doesn't mean that they can understand what math is. Okay, so we need to make sure that things are developmentally appropriate. Okay? All right. We know, for example, young children in primary school, the cognitive ability in terms of the ability to think as abstractly, okay, is less advanced compared to those in secondary school. So in primary school, but we should be talking more about concrete things. Okay? Now you ask me, but Allah is abstract. Allah is abstract. Definitely it's not about sensory, but the things Allah created are not abstract, right? So we can teach them the science, okay? The science of Allah, okay? Right? The ayat of Allah, but we teaching the science by asking them, when we talk about, okay, think about the trees. No, you don't ask them to think about the trees, not at this young age. We take them to a tree, to the garden, say, look at these trees. And then, over time, we talk about how they grow. Okay? Watch how they grow. And then, and you can get the wonder of the trees. Now, the different leaves, even the different shape of the leaves, where some trees have flowers, and then they have different flowers. So you have to take them to the garden and get them things, and then make them. These are the greatness of Allah. Everything, Then, when they are older in secondary school, then we don't have to take them to the garden because one, assuming that they have the background knowledge, and second is they would be able to also think more abstract. If you say garden, okay, this is where we can talk about technology, or we talk about Allah create people, and He create people of different types. But if you're in a culture where it's homogeneous, everyone looks like you, it's very difficult for young children to think about this. And of course, we're not, going out to the garden is easy, but we can't take these children go out traveling. So this is where we can leverage on technology. Okay? I'm addressing the positive part first. That's usually when people talk about technology, people like to focus on the negative part. Okay? The negative part, like I have previously alluded to, the social skills deficit. Okay? Using, our children having access to a personal gadget like that, okay, very early on, okay, may have may actually studies have shown that they do show social deficit. They do not show cognitive deficit because of the things that I talked about just now. We are able to open the world to things that are beyond the here and now. With technology, they can see beyond the here and now. Okay, but this having access to a personal device beyond what is necessary tends to also make our children lose their social skills. Okay, they're very, very talkative online. For example, they're like, they want to talk. Oh wait! I'm talking to my friends. I'm talking to my friends. And they're so busy, using their social media. Okay, but when they meet people face to face and they're talking to people they have never met, right? But when they go and meet people outside, they're very, very quiet, very shy, very introvert. Okay, that's a social skills deficit. Okay, that could be one impact of technology. Okay, so in school, if you're dealing, I'm not sure how it is over there, but there are many schools here in Malaysia nowadays, especially during COVID. Of course, we really needed to rely on technology. So many schools have also allowed students to bring gadgets to school and also use them in teaching and in the teaching and learning process. Good. Okay, but we also then need to be very observant and also be very particular in terms of the potential negative impact. Okay. This in and of itself, actually, we can talk about this, but again, like I said, technology can also bring about cognitive overload, but technology can also produce, can help or can make the self-regulated learning worse. They forget that they're supposed to study because they are like solution. Okay, on the screen. Okay, on the screen that has nothing to do with it. So, but it can also be used positively. Okay. For example, when they are doing study group, okay, and it's very difficult to be physically present, they can use networks, the social media platform to study. They can use Teams, they can use Zoom like this, where they can see. Okay? Of course, if you're all this requires monitoring supervision, but if your child understands that what is given to them is an amanah, yeah, and the responsibility to study is also actually a responsibility that relates to Allah, to them becoming a good Muslim. Inshallah, the monitoring part does not have to be very intensive. Okay, in fact, allow your children to explore, allow your students to explore the use of technology to help them learn, to help them become better, to know more than what is in school, what they get in school, and also beyond what you can provide for them physically. Okay, allow them to challenge themselves, because in the end, it is about becoming better. Okay, there are a lot of these challenges. I have only just been able to cover what are the kinds of challenges there are, not quite how to deal with the challenges, but I hope during the application just now you have also seen a little bit of how uh, parents, because I've touched on what parents can do, what teachers can do, okay, what students themselves can do, because in the end, when we talk about all these things, okay, this is one of the areas that I really like to share with people when I also do programs, because it goes beyond behavior. Okay? In this particular context, parents and teachers and students need to work together. Okay? We all need to work together to achieve that which is better. Okay? To achieve the objectives of education as it should be in Islam. Okay, so this is, and I think you will also be reminded of this ayat again when Professor Zainal talks about this in his talk later today. Okay, but so I'm today because it is time, yeah, okay, and I'll open this for Q&A.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. So now we come to the Q&A. Because of the time, maybe that I can answer only one or two questions only.
Yes.
So any participant want to have a question? You can also type in the chat, but or you can also raise up your hand. That's more easier. You raise up your hand so that I can unmute you guys. Oh, brother. This is the last session, brother.
Okay. If not that, I thank you because Dr. Zati is already here. Dr. Zati is already here.
Yeah. If the participant doesn't have a question, so thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you for your attention.
Sharing today. Inshallah,
okay.
The slide will give it to me so I can give to the participant.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
See you next time.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.